Let's move our way down. San Diego Padres. My team from I was singing, anybody that would listen to me, I was singing the Padres praises from the rooftop, and they almost did it for me. They ran into the Dodgers in the playoffs. Very unfortunate. But let's take a look here at acquisitions. You get Jose Iglesias on a minor league contract. That just recently happened. Kyle Hart to a 1 year. Nick Pivetta, a big pitching pickup. He signs a 4-year contract. Jason Hayward, 1 year. Connor Joe, 1 year. Lots of 1 years and a lot of minor leagues that I'm seeing. Those were all free agencies. Not very active in the trade game. They got Ron. I'm not even going to try and say that loud. Well, yeah, I will. Mariana Chio, definitely Italian. Got him from the White Sox for cash. Other than that, you got a couple. Dylan Cease agreed to a 1-year contract. Arias did. King did. Keeping the band back together in terms of the production from last year. Seth, who did the Padres lose?
Before we get to losers, I want to shout out my guy, Ron Marinaccio.
Oh.
He was with the Yankees for forever. If you remember the first Field of Dreams game.
Oh,
you remember
vividly.
You remember the Tim Anderson walk-off?
Yeah.
Ron Marinaccio. But I think the Yankees did him dirty. I think Ron Marinaccio is going to have a good life here in San Diego. I think literally Ron Marinaccio was picked up by the White Sox and literally traded immediately.
They want that cash, baby.
So I think he's good. I do. But to losses, Ha-Seong Kim, he declined the player option there. He moved to Tampa Bay. Donovan Solano, Kyle Higashioka.
Donovan Solano, I'm going to sneaky good platoon bat. He had some good years he had a good year with the Reds too, way back when. He was that loss is going to be a little more impactful than I think what people think. But continue.
Yep. Martin Perez, pitcher. Kyle Higashioka, another former Yankee great. Jurickson Profar, Nick Ahmed, and Tanner Scott. I think all the guys they lost were kind of names of mention. I also didn't mention David Peralta. All these guys are kind of names of mention. You've heard of them before. All over the age of 30, so they're kind of old guys, except for Ha-Seong Kim. But some notable names there that were lost.
Profar had an amazing year last year. 24 home runs. By 22 he had 15, 23 he had 9. So that's a huge loss, definitely. But let's take a look at this starting lineup. Actually, I always do this. Let's start with how they performed last year. 93 and 69. Finished second in the division. Offensively, pretty good team. First in average, sixth in on base and OPS, 8th in runs, 10th in home runs, 14th in stolen bases. Starting pitching, not bad. 9th in whip, 6th in strikeouts per 9, 9th in hits per 9, and 7th in home runs per 9. And then the relief pitching, when you have Tanner Scott in that as that closer for the time they did, that's obviously going to help too. But 11th in ERA, 9th in whip, 3rd in walks per 9, 10th in home runs per 9. All around, very solid team. Very solid team. And they get Arias in what feels like it was April last year, maybe May, very early on. And he sticks around. Starting lineup, Luis Arias, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, arguably kind of didn't luck out, but was unlucky that he had to make his debut with Paul Skeens because he had a great rookie year. Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, Xander Bogaerts, Jose Iglesias, Jason Hayward, Elise Diaz. Seth, before we get to the rotation, that's a pretty solid lineup, just from top to bottom.
It is. I think this lineup is good. If you look on Fangraphs, you can see the only homegrown guy is that Jackson Merrill, and I think that they kind of lucked out with who they got in this lineup. I think their lineup is again very good front to back. It's like, even though Tatis had that PED stint and had to sit out some games, I mean, Tatis is an MVP caliber player. Jackson Merrill with a huge year last year. I mean, they are good front to back in this lineup. Even their bench is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, well-rounded lineup, and even Jackson Merrill last year. I mean, he was a above 5 WAR guy. Sophomore slump is, that is a thing, but if you think he's just a semblance of what he could be, it's going to be a big year for them. Same thing kind of with Xander Bogaerts, except on the other end of the scale is like if he could just, show some 2021, show some 22 in him, like that's 1 through 6 that is very strong for the San Diego Padres. Starting rotation, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta, Kyle Hart. The Pivetta pickup was essential to rounding out this rotation. I can't remember who filled in that 5th spot before that, but you have Cease, who was really good last year. Michael King proved me wrong. He was really good throughout all of last year. Yu Darvish had his spots where he struggled, but his background numbers, his underlying numbers weren't bad given how old he is. 38 years old. That's crazy. And then Nick Pivetta, a good pickup, and Kyle Hart. Seth, bullpen?
My laptop died, Dylan.
That's okay. I got it. Say the guy's name. Who do you like? Yankees guy.
Ron Marinaccio.
Yep, Ron Marinaccio. He is the long reliever. Wandy Peralta, Alec Jacob, Yuki Matsui, Adrian Morholm, Jeremiah Estrada, Jason Adam, Robert Suarez. Jeremiah Estrada, pretty good reliever. And I only know that because of fantasy baseball. I think you traded him to me. Or maybe vice versa, something like that. Padres. What do you think, Seth? Very good lineup. Starting rotation, 4 strong. Maybe even 5 strong. We'll see. Kyle Hart came over from the KBO. That was their free agent signing, so we'll see how he fares. But this is a strong team.
It is. It's a very good team. We talked about kind of their losses from last year. They lost a lot of guys that did have a production value in that lineup. I don't think they're quite at that production level, but you're not looking at this team and being like, oh wow, the Padres lost a lot. You're looking at this team and you're like, did they even lose anybody? This team is good, especially from the pitching perspective. Their rotation is still good, and there was talks this offseason of, hey, where's Dylan Cease going to go? Is Dylan Cease going to get traded? You're looking at a Cy Young candidate from last year. There's no reason to trade this guy, and the Padres were able to hold on to him, obviously, to fulfill the contract. It's not like he was asking to get moved, at least not from what I saw in the media. This guy, Cease, is going to put up, again, another Cy Young caliber year. You see what happens when guys get out of bad places, getting out of Miami, getting out of Chicago, getting out of Colorado. Like they end up putting things together, and I hate to say Colorado because DJ LeMahieu was so bad, but he put up a couple of good years. So there's some real talent on this team and some young talent, and they have an MVP caliber guy with Tatis kind of leading that lineup. And yes, they're not in the same spot they were last year. I don't think they're going to be giving the Dodgers quite a run for their money the way they were last year, but I still think they could be a playoff potential team.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And coming into last year, they had some real their record in 1-run games the year before was awful, so I kind of played the regression game like, oh, that's not going to happen again this past year, which is 24, but now they've kind of middled out. But now it's like we kind of know what we're getting with Jackson Merrill. You do have the question if Bogaerts can be healthy for the whole year. Even Cronenworth is a little older. Jason Hayward's like 35 now. So, but I do like this Padres team. This is another team similar to the Diamondbacks. If things go the right way, they could find themselves in the playoffs. I wouldn't be totally shocked if they won the division. San Diego Padres, 85.5 wins. Over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. I don't think they're gonna be as good as the Diamondbacks, but I can see this is why the people in Vegas get paid. They put out some decent lines.
Good numbers.
But I think you're looking at an 87 win team. And it's crazy I've given 3 overs in this division. I think that kind of sees how I see the NL West.
I was going to say, we have 2 more teams that kind of tells you where you're going to be heading with these other 2, unless you might go over on all of them. Who knows?